Good morning, this is Real News Daily from Los Angeles, California. My name is Jeremy Vameyer. I apologize, I should not be calling this Real News Daily anymore, since Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday I skipped reporting on the news due to the fact that I started celebrating the 4th of July weekend Wednesday evening pretty much, and have had hangovers every day since. So sorry, but it's Monday, July 7th, and here are the headlines in today's news. I want to start with a glorious day at Wimbledon on Sunday. I got up at 6:15 Pacific time to watch the men's final live from Wimbledon in London. Number one in the world, Roger Federer, was taking on Rafa Nadal for the third straight time in the Wimbledon final. The previous two times Roger Federer won the Wimbledon title last year was a very dramatic, very high quality tennis was played in last year's final. But man, yesterday's final, I'm still excited about it. It was the longest final in Wimbledon history. I believe 4 hours and 48 minutes, 5 sets. It was the final that went on to the latest. It ended at 9:15 at night. Started to get pretty dark. I just read that Federer was a little bit complaining about that and thought it should have suspended and be continued on Monday. Even Nadal said that the last game that he served after he broke Federer a couple of games before, he served for the mats, and he said that he could barely see anything. Rafa Nadal is the first Spaniard in 42 years to win the Wimbledon title. I'm very, very happy, very excited to see this young guy win 4 Roland Garros in a row and then say, you know what, I'm not just a clay court player, I can win Wimbledon, which he proved, because not only was this his third straight final at Wimbledon, he won and was crowned the new king of Wimbledon. It was also it was a great 2 weeks for Spain, who last week won the Euro 2008 soccer championship, and now they want to have a Spanish king at Wimbledon. So that's it. Very excited. It took me almost 3 minutes to talk about this, so let's get on. The wildfires in California are still going on, even though this morning the fires along the coast in Northern California did get a little break with fog coming in from the coast and a more humid lower temperatures. Even though the temperatures are expected to reach highs this week up into the 80s and in the 90s, and 400 National Reserve Guards are gonna start today battling some of the fires going on for I believe 2 weeks now in Northern California, and destroyed many homes, many acres, and are still pretty close to Big Sur, one of the biggest tourist attractions along the Pacific Coast Highway, one that goes from Los Angeles all the way up north, Northern California. It's a beautiful place. I believe the PCH one is still closed around Big Sur. A suicide bomber hits the Indian embassy in Afghanistan. A car bomb blew off the gates of the Indian embassy in Kabul and killed dozens, about 41 on NPR.com. Afghans often line up for visas in front of the Indian embassy. Then to the G8, the 3-day summit in Japan, where the G8 countries, which are Britain, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, Russia, and the US, come together and discuss the matters regarding the Kyoto Treaty many years ago. A lot of the European countries had already agreed to lower green gas emissions by in the 1990s by 20%. Japan said today it will set a goal to lower it for 60 to 80% by 2050. The European countries set 2020 as a goal, and America said it will work on a 2050 goal, but did not say what their plan was. Doesn't really surprise me, because Bush was always against joining the Kyoto Treaty, because he felt that others had to follow him first, and he was always competing with Russia, that Russia had to lead by example and not the US. Also concerned about China not joining and be a bigger part of it. And a lot of these countries, the G8, are having elections coming up, so it's a pretty lame conference going on. Nothing has really been decided on the rising oil prices. A lot of negative comments were made about the biofuel that especially has been going on in the US, biofuel instead of gas. But biofuel and the oil prices have led to rising food prices, which is a major crisis all over the world. The gas prices, of course, and the rising cost of food. Africa has been raising its issue that it was promised a couple of years ago that their financial aid would be doubled from 25 billion to 50 billion. And that the Western civilized, or not civilized, just the G8 and its the other Western countries have not kept their promise. The deal was, however, that they would get the money if Africa was able to get corruption, coups, and everything, the violence under control, which they haven't kept their part of the bargain with. The situation in Sudan, Darfur, still a lot of people displaced, many people killed, murdered, and of course the recent elections in Zimbabwe got a lot of criticism, with President Mugabe taking the presidency again after he was the only person running. Alright, it was a long one. I had a lot to say. Also, I don't think I mentioned how happy I am about the successful operation of the Colombians last week by freeing 14 or a dozen hostages, who some of them have been kept for 10 or a dozen years. Those were mostly Colombian hostages, and there were 3 Americans freed after they were kept for 5 years, and kept for 6 years was a previous presidential candidate of Colombia, Ms. Betancourt, who gets the most attention because he was a presidential candidate and was reunited with her 2 kids after 6 years of captivity. So these are the headlines of today's news, this weekend's news, and a little bit of last week's news. Sports coming up, we've got the Olympics coming up on August 8th, starting in Beijing. A lot of controversy, but I'm still looking forward to watching the Olympics. And then we have the US Open tennis coming up the end of August, beginning of September, which I'm also very excited about. So from Los Angeles, my name is Jaron Farmeyer. I'll promise I'll do this daily again. This is Real World Daily, and have a great day on this Monday, July 7, 2008. We'll see you tomorrow.